It's an honor. Is it on? It's an honor to be here and to see a lot of familiar faces from our time in Binghamton some 50 years ago. My wife, Joan, my young wife, Joan, is over here. Stand up, please. Joan, you should stand up when, please stand up. Fritz and Marianne Wallenberg were so influential on us as young people. We moved here directly from the University of Illinois, where we had graduated from. Joan was a little ahead of me. She had her master's degree from there, and I had my bachelor's degree. And we moved into an apartment on Schubert Street. Schubert Street, ring a bell to everybody? So I think it must have been the second day we were moving into this apartment, and there was a knock on the back door. Opened the door, and a gentleman there said, "I'm Fritz Wallenberg, and I conduct the symphony, and I heard that you people are musicians, and I'd like to invite you to play in the symphony." And of course I think Leo Lynch, who was back then the supervisor of music in the schools, had told him about us because we both got school jobs in Binghamton school system. So anyway, and then after further conversation, he found out that Joan played both the violin and the viola. So he put 2 and 2 together, or 2 plus 2 and 4. And this number, you got to remember that 2 plus 2 is 4, because a little later on I'm going to tell a story where it only comes up to 3. But you just don't worry about that just yet. So anyway, he said, would you like to come over to the house? We just live up the street a short distance and play string quartets with us. So we went and read some string quartet one evening, and that was the beginning of a wonderful 6-year relationship for us all 4 of us. And so Marianne played first violin, I played the second violin, and Marianne played first violin because she was a real practicer. She practiced a lot. Okay. And then Fritz, of course, played the cello, and Joan played the viola. So every Monday night we met, and our first child, Carrie, was born the next summer, and so we would go to quartet rehearsal with a playpen, and we put her in the playpen, and that was her introduction to music as well, I guess, and we just played there every Monday night. Now, one of the things Marianne suggested we do was to read a Haydn string quartet every time we got together, which was once a week. So I think we read every single string quartet by Haydn. Does anybody know how many there are? There's several hundred. So anyway, and then the cute thing was that she decided we should rate each movement. So she said, "What do you think that is, an A or a B plus or A plus?" And I don't know who has those parts now. Jimmy, if you have those parts, you can look at them and you can see which are the best movements and which ones are a little more mediocre, okay? In our opinion, anyway. So then we decided we wanted to play some concerts, so we began the Chamber Music Society with the help of wonderful people in the community. Izzy Friedlander and Maurice Skitlitz and other people got together, and we started the Chamber Music Society of Triple Cities, or whatever it was called, and we played 4 or 5 concerts every year. And we then invited other people to come and play with us. For instance, Christine Lindsay, who's here, Melba Sandberg, Harry Lincoln, they all played with our quartet from time to time. after rehearsal, we always had cake that Mariana served and some sort of juice. I think she mixed together, you know, strawberry and apple and this and that, and every night it was different. Okay, so anyway, in our first concert, excuse me, our first concert, the Binghamton Press photographer came over to the rehearsal to take a photo. This is where the numbers come in. And he said, this is fine. Our regulation is we take only 3 people in a photo. So I thought, well, you know, it seems like our quartet is suddenly going to be 3 people. I don't know who's eliminated here. So we had a long discussion of how about a quartet is an entity. It's one thing, and it's 4 people. And, you know, this is just very important that all 4 of us be in this photo. And you can see the photo in the little exhibit in the room next door here. There is another picture there with only 3 people, with Myron Fink and Joan and Mariana. I don't know how that happened either. So anyway, hopefully that is not still in there. So, and then we played in this symphony with Fritz, and you know, it was just such a marvelous experience playing all the music that he selected and all the jokes and things that he said. And in this wonderful book that Mariana wrote, you all should know about. It's called Rewinding the Tape. And that's where that story comes from, meeting her actually having heard Fritz play in the Munich cello, you know, not even knowing him. So anyway, the funny story I liked from that was when Fritz introduced the new president of the symphony. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the illustrious President Lincoln. Then we, one evening, were introduced to Fritz's new invention of the foot-regulated page turner. Yeah. So he was always inventing. Well, anyway, this was culminated in 1963. The Wallenberg String Quartet was terminated with the Runings moving to Ithaca and taking up residency there and new jobs and so on. And that was a sad moment for us, especially with the quartet. But that was such an introduction to the wonderful literature of quartet for 6 years with Fritz and Mariana. And Mariana, in her book, said, these sessions, talking about the Wallenberg Quartet, were for me the absolute highlights of my musical life. And I think Joan and I agree that that was true for us as well. Then later, we were replaced by the Guarneri String Quartet that moved to town. Thank you very much.
So I wanted to just say, so my name's Millie Calistrier, and I was so honored when Jim invited me to play in the string quartet. And then lo and behold, I went and checked in my music to see if I had it, and it's actually the string quartet that Mrs. Wallenberg gave to me as a high school graduation present. So.
believe it or not, 45 years ago, actually in the living room with Fritz and Marianne. I followed Dr. Harry Lincoln, or President Lincoln, as principal flute, and am honored to sit in the now dedicated Harry and Betty Lincoln chair. Actually, we moved to Binghamton in 1967 and moved into an apartment, and the phone rang, and it was Dr. Phil Nelson from SUNY Binghamton inviting me over to teach. And I auditioned for Dr. Harry Lincoln that very same day. Anyway, I wanted you to know that I have been involved with Fritz and Marianne in my musical as well as personal life. We spent much time together as musicians and have grown close as friends. As principal flutist, I soloed with the orchestra many times, including several Bach Brandenburgs and the Honegger Concerto da Camera, which is for flute and English horn. I learned so much from Fritz's lectures on the Bach cantatas and still have many notes which have been of great value to me as a musician and teacher. The love we shared for music and friendship was special. It was Fritz who named me Maiolo Baby. And it's like Maiolo, M-Y is the way he did it. And Marianne always made sure that Maiolo Baby remained as my special name. I last saw Marianne a couple of weeks before she left us. Yes, I brought her pizzelle. Pizzelle is an Italian cookie that I make for everyone that I know, and Marianne loves them. She immediately had to taste one and said with a smile, "This is Christmas." I always gave pizzelle to the Wallenbergs at Christmas. Today, well, this is August. This is not December. This is not Christmas. But I would like to keep the tradition of the pizzelles that I give at Christmas time, so I have pizzelles for Kathy and Jim. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Kathy, you're welcome. That's it. Jim, I just need some help, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Just go.
Regretfully, I am not a string player here today, and I haven't studied with Fritz or Marianne. I came to the Triple Cities area in the early 60s as a school teacher in the Owego-Appalachian School District, and I became a member of the Binghamton Symphony in 1964 and performed under the baton of Fritz Wallenberg, conductor of the orchestra, and with Marianne Wallenberg, who was a member of the string section. During that time, I had the opportunity to perform any number of the standard symphonic orchestral pieces and choral compositions, as the Binghamton Community Chorus, directed by Fritz, was part of the symphony's concert season programming. A special note, as I recall, was Fritz's interest in programming challenging contemporary instrumental and choral compositions. Fritz would also notify those composers that their work was programmed and invite them to attend the performance. Over the years, several did. I recall the noted composer, Daniel Pinkham, now deceased, attended a concert which featured his cantata, and there were a number of others whom I don't remember. Fritz and Marianne were also very active as chamber musicians in the Triple Cities. They had a string quartet that was active, and they invited other musicians to perform with them. I had the pleasure of participating in a number of those chamber performances. I recall playing the Beethoven Trio with Fritz, the Mozart Clarinet Quintet, and the Prokofiev Overture on Hebrew Themes. Some very interesting pieces. That was a piece I was not familiar with at all. Fritz and Marianne were noted string teachers in the area, and a number of musicians presently performing with the Binghamton Philharmonic and Tri-City Opera Orchestra were past students of Fritz's and Marianne's. Fritz and Marianne could certainly be called Mr. and Mrs. Music of the Triple Cities. They had a great influence on the artistic life of this community, and the success of the Binghamton Philharmonic owes much